After more than 2 decades of working in relationship psychology, the most surprising thing discovered along the way is also the most consistent one. The majority of men believe they understand what women genuinely need, and the majority of men have it wrong. Not because they are unkind or indifferent, not because they are bad partners, but because no one ever laid it out for them in plain terms. There is no guidebook for this. Nobody taught it. And to make it more complicated, most women never say it directly, even when they feel the absence of it every single day. Over 20 years of sitting with couples across every life stage, from people just starting out to those in their 60s and 70s who have shared a home for decades and still feel like they are living parallel lives, has revealed something striking. Thousands of men who deeply wanted to reach their partners again simply did not know how. Today, that changes. What follows is a look at 7 specific places on a woman's body, places that go far beyond anything physical, places that, when touched with the right kind of care and attention, unlock something emotional and deep. And most people will be surprised because none of these 7 places are what you are probably expecting. Before getting into them, there is something important to understand about how this works. The female brain does not separate physical contact from its emotional meaning. For a woman, particularly one in her 40s, 50s, or 60s, touch is never neutral. Every time a hand reaches out and makes contact, her nervous system is quietly asking a question. Is this safe? Does he actually see me? Does he care about who I am right now? If the answer is yes, her entire body softens. She opens up. She moves toward connection. If the answer is no, or even just uncertain, she retreats. Not because she has stopped loving you, but because her nervous system is doing exactly what it was built to do, protecting her emotional self before anything else. One client, a woman of 58 who had been married for 31 years, said something that has stayed with me ever since. She said, I do not need him to be perfect. I just need him to slow down long enough to actually feel me, not just touch me, feel me. That one sentence contains the entire lesson. So here are the 7 places and 7 opportunities to change the way your partner responds to you entirely. The first is the back of the neck, right at the base of the hairline. This is one of the most underestimated areas on a woman's body, and most men walk right past it. But this is where tension takes up residence. It is where the weight of a full day, work, family, worry, responsibility settles and stays. When a woman is stressed or emotionally disconnected, that tension pulls right into this spot. What is called for here is not a massage, not a gesture that communicates, let me fix this. Something far lighter than that. 2 or 3 fingertips moving slowly with no pressure at all. Just warmth and the simple fact of your presence. When you do this, something chemical begins to shift. Her nervous system starts to come down from its heightened state. Her breathing slows. Cortisol, the stress hormone, begins to ease. And in its place, oxytocin rises. Oxytocin is often called the bonding hormone or the trust hormone. And this spot at the base of the neck is one of the most direct ways to trigger it. She may not say a word. She might simply go quiet or lean in almost imperceptibly. That silence is not emptiness. That is her body saying yes. The second place is the soft skin between the shoulder blades. Think of this area as the place where her invisible armor lives. It is the part of her back she cannot easily reach herself. And it is where the weight she carries but never talks about tends to settle. When a woman is guarded, when she has built walls around herself, consciously or not, those walls often express themselves physically right here. This is not about deep pressure or technical skill. It is about something much simpler and far more powerful. Just placing a hand there flat, warm, completely still, with no agenda attached to the gesture. When you do that, you are not merely touching her back. You are communicating something that words rarely manage to say clearly. I have got you. You do not have to carry this alone. I am right here. A couple in their early 60s, both retired, spending every day in the same house and somehow feeling miles apart, experienced a shift through exactly this gesture. The husband began walking up behind his wife each evening while she was in the kitchen after dinner and simply resting his hand between her shoulder blades. No words, just presence. 3 weeks later, she said, I do not know what he is doing differently, but I feel like he is actually here again. That is the reach of this one spot. The third place is the hands, specifically the fingers and the palm. And before you dismiss this, hear it out because there is a real difference between grabbing someone's hand and actually holding it. There is a difference between a quick squeeze and using your thumb to trace slowly along her palm. A woman's hands are deeply tied to her emotional world. They are how she gives, how she creates, how she expresses care. When you hold them with genuine, unhurried attention, she feels understood in a way that moves straight past the surface. Try this the next time you are sitting together, watching something, having coffee. It does not matter. Take her hand and instead of simply holding it, use your thumb to slowly trace along each finger or draw small, gentle circles across her palm. No destination, no rush. Research out of McGill University has shown that this type of slow, deliberate contact with the hands activates the same neural pathways as direct emotional affirmation. In plain terms, holding her hand thoughtfully communicates the same thing as telling her she matters. Your hands say it without a single word being spoken. The fourth place is the small hollow just below the jawline, directly behind the ear. This one surprises people almost every time. It is not a spot most men ever think about. It is subtle, easy to overlook, and that is precisely what makes it so powerful. This area is extraordinarily sensitive, dense with nerve endings, but it is also a spot that only gets touched when there is genuine closeness. Reaching it requires you to be near her, present, focused entirely on her, rather than on where things might be going. When you gently brush your fingertips along this spot while sitting close together, not with pressure, just warmth, you are doing two things at once. You are triggering a physical response that sends a wave of calm through her body, and you are sending an emotional message. I notice the small things about you. I am paying attention to you specifically. Women feel this one differently than almost any other form of touch. It does not feel demanding or purposeful. It feels like being truly seen. And being truly seen is one of the deepest needs a woman carries in a long-term relationship. One important note, if she does not lean into it right away, do not push. This particular spot requires trust. If trust is still being rebuilt between the two of you, simply be patient and consistent. Over time, she will. The fifth place is the inner thigh near the knee. And the placement matters enormously here. This is the soft skin on the inside of the leg, close to the knee, unhurried, not moving anywhere. This area holds significant emotional weight for women, often without them being fully conscious of why. A respectful, patient touch here communicates something very specific: closeness without pressure, wanting to be near without demanding anything in return. The quality that matters most is the pace, slow and even as though you have nowhere else to be, as though this moment is entirely sufficient on its own. Women have described this kind of touch, when offered with patience and genuine care, as more intimate than almost anything else their partner had done in years because of what it communicated without language. I want to be close to you. I am not rushing you. I am simply here. In a long-term relationship, especially as the years accumulate, that message can feel like water after a very long drought. The sixth place is the lower back, the hollow between the waist and the hips. The lower back is the physical center of a woman's body. It supports everything she does. It carries everything. And in most long-term relationships, it goes almost entirely untouched. When you rest your hand on a woman's lower back, especially when you are standing behind her and your presence wraps around her from behind, something remarkable happens at a neurological level. The brain interprets that position as protection, as stability, as someone communicating without any words at all. I am behind you in every sense of that phrase. This is not about control. It is about containment in the most comforting meaning of the word, the kind that gives someone enough safety to let their guard come down completely. Think about the last time you stood close behind your partner and simply rested your hand on her lower back. Not going anywhere, just present. If you cannot remember the last time that happened, that is worth sitting with. Try it this week. Not as a technique, but as a genuine expression of the fact that you are here, that you are not in a hurry, that simply being near her is enough. The seventh place is the most unexpected one, and it is not what most people anticipate. It is not the chest, it is the lower abdomen, the area at and just below the navel. This is the most emotionally significant area on a woman's body and the most consistently overlooked. Men either bypass it entirely or touch it only in a way that signals they are heading somewhere else. Both of those are missed opportunities of real consequence. The lower abdomen is where a woman holds her deepest sense of self. The neuroscience here is real. This area has a dense concentration of vagal nerve connections, meaning it is directly wired to the body's emotional regulation system. When this area is touched with genuine care and true unhurriedness, the experience is not merely physical. It feels like being held at the very center of who she is. The image that works best for the couples navigating this. Imagine you are holding something irreplaceable, something that cannot be replaced if broken. You would not grab for it, you would not rush. You would move slowly with complete attention with both hands. A warm hand placed gently on her lower abdomen with zero urgency signals something that words rarely accomplish on their own. I trust you with all of me, and I hope you trust me with all of you. When a woman feels that her whole body responds, not because of skill or method, because of truth. Now let all of it come together. 7 places: the back of the neck, the space between the shoulder blades, the hands, the hollow behind the ear, the inner thigh near the knee, the lower back, and the lower abdomen. None of these are complicated, none of them are secret, but the honest reality is that most people are not using them. Not with the intention and the slowness they actually deserve. Here's why that matters. As relationships grow longer, a quiet and gradual thing tends to happen. People stop reaching out, not because they have stopped caring, but because the daily rhythm takes over, because we assume our partner already knows, because tiredness and distraction pile up, and small gestures start to feel unnecessary. But women feel that absence. They feel it in their bodies before they feel it in their thoughts. They arrive at a point where they realize they feel lonely, not because their partner is gone, but because their partner stopped touching them, stopped noticing them, stopped speaking through the language of physical presence. One man, 67 years old and retired, came in convinced his relationship had simply run its natural course. Maybe this is just what happens, he said. When asked when the last time was that he had touched his wife without wanting anything in return, he thought about it for a long time. I cannot remember. He finally said that was the whole answer. After conversations about these 7 places, he went home and started small. Just a hand rested on the back of her neck while she was reading. Nothing more, no words, no agenda. She looked up at him and smiled at him the way she used to. 2 months later, he came back and said, "She told me last week that she feels like I have come back to her. I mean, honestly, I think I have. That is not a trick. That is not a technique. That is simply the power of consistent, intentional, respectful physical presence." Here is what to take away from all of this. The problem in most long-term relationships is not a shortage of love. It is a shortage of language, not spoken language. The language of touch. Slow, unhurried, genuine contact that says, I see you, I am here, you matter to me. Women, especially in midlife and beyond, do not respond to urgency. They respond to attention. They respond to being noticed in the details. They respond to a hand that moves as though it has all the time in the world, because being with her is the destination and not just the starting point. And the research bears this out consistently. Women have, on average, significantly more sensitive skin nerve receptors than men, particularly in the areas explored here: the neck, behind the ear, the fingers, and the lower abdomen. These are not just physically responsive zones. They are emotionally wired. Touch in these areas triggers oxytocin, yes, but more than that, it triggers a felt sense of safety. And safety is the foundation of intimacy. You cannot build one without the other. A study from the University of British Columbia examined touch patterns in long-term couples and found that those who maintained regular non-sexual physical contact, the kind that was not leading anywhere, just present and caring, reported significantly higher emotional connection and relationship satisfaction, even in relationships that had other struggles. The couples who had let that contact fade consistently described feeling like they were living as roommates. Do not be roommates with the person you love. So, here's where to begin tonight. If your partner is nearby, walk up to her and place your hand on the back of her neck. Say nothing. Expect nothing. Let your hand simply be warm and still and see what happens. Tomorrow, try the lower back or take her hand and hold it slowly as though you mean it because you do. These are not techniques, they are expressions of care. And the difference between a technique and an expression of care is everything because she will feel that difference immediately. Women always do. The warmth in your hands is sometimes worth more than 1,000 well chosen words. The touch that carries no agenda, that asks for nothing, that simply says, I am here and you are the reason I am here. That kind of touch has the power to bring someone back to you, to bring you back to each other. It is never too late to begin. Couples in their 70s have transformed their relationships through shifts exactly this simple. Women who had emotionally withdrawn have found their way back. Men who believed the window had closed have discovered it was never as closed as they feared. If you are here reading this, that already says something about you. You want to do better. You want to understand. You want your relationship to feel alive again. It can. It will. If you are willing to slow down, show up, and let your hands say what your words sometimes cannot reach. If this resonated with something you are carrying, pass it on to someone who might need to hear it. Take care of each other. That is the whole thing.